Hello, everyone. Through our previous lessons, we have learned that starting a tractor refers to the process where the engine transitions from a stationary state to a self-operating state. But how does the engine accomplish this process? Clearly, this task is carried out by the starting system, with the starter motor playing a crucial role as the core component of the tractor's starting system. It provides the necessary mechanical energy to rotate the engine's crankshaft, thereby starting the engine. Now, let's delve deeper into understanding the starter motor together. Firstly, let's learn about the basic functions of the starter motor. The primary function of the starter motor is to generate power through an electric motor, driving the engine's flywheel to set the engine in motion. The performance of the starter motor directly impacts the success of the engine's startup process. The components of the electrical starting system include the battery, starter motor, starter switch, and starter relay. Next, let's explore the basic structural components of the starter motor. The structure of the starter motor mainly comprises the following parts. 1. Electric motor section. 2. Transmission mechanism. 3. Control device. The electric motor serves as the power source of the starter motor, responsible for generating rotational torque to drive the engine's startup process. The electric motor primarily consists of components such as the stator, rotor, brushes, and commutator. 1. Stator. Typically composed of an iron core and coils, the stator generates a magnetic field inside when current flows through the coils. 2 pairs of magnetic poles are mounted in a crosswise manner inside the casing, creating a magnetic flux loop between the stator and rotor cores as shown in the diagram. 2. Rotor. Also known as the armature, it includes the armature core, the armature winding, and the commutator. During operation, current flows through the armature winding, interacting with the stator's magnetic field to generate rotational torque. 3. Brushes. These components make contact with the commutator and are responsible for transferring current from the power source to the armature winding. Brushes are made by pressing copper and graphite powders together, giving them a reddish-brown color. They are housed in brush holders with a disc-shaped spring providing strong elasticity to press the brushes against the commutator. 4. Commutator. Part of the rotor, the commutator is used to change the direction of current flow, ensuring the rotor maintains rotation. It is made up of several copper segments with mica insulation between them. 2. Transmission mechanism. The transmission mechanism is responsible for transferring the rotational torque generated by the electric motor to the engine's flywheel to start the engine. It consists of components such as drive gears, one-way clutch, shift fork, meshing spring, etc. 1. One-way clutch. Allows the drive gear of the starter motor to automatically disengage from the flywheel ring gear after starting the engine, preventing damage from the continued rotation of the starter motor. 2. Drive gear, pinion gear. While the starter motor is operating, the drive gear moves forward and meshes with the flywheel ring gear of the engine, transmitting the power of the starter motor to the engine. 3. Control device. The control devices include components like the electromagnetic switch, ignition switch, and starter relay, used to control the start and stop functions of the starter motor. 1. Electromagnetic switch. Controls the on-off of the starter motor circuit through electromagnetic force, simultaneously controlling the movement and engagement of the drive gear. 2. Ignition switch. Allows the driver to control the start and stop of the starter motor. 3. Starter relay. Acts as an intermediate control element in the circuit, receiving signals from the ignition switch to control the connection and disconnection of the starter motor circuit. Additionally, the starter motor may also include other auxiliary components like the flywheel ring gear, the circlip, the dust cover, etc. collectively forming the complete structure of the starter motor to ensure its proper functioning and engine startup. So what's the working process of the starter motor? Now, let's explore together. The working process of the starter motor can be divided into the starting stage, power transmission stage, and ending stage. 1. Starting stage. The driver turns on the ignition switch. The starter relay receives the signal and closes the contact, allowing the starter motor circuit to connect. The electric motor starts rotating and drives the pinion gear forward through the transmission mechanism. 2. Power transmission stage. After the pinion gear meshes with the flywheel ring gear, the power from the electric motor is transmitted to the flywheel through the transmission mechanism, causing the flywheel to start rotating. As the speed of the flywheel increases, the engine gradually enters normal operating state. 3. Ending stage. After the engine successfully starts, the control components of the starter motor will disconnect the circuit. The electric motor stops rotating, and the pinion gear disengages from the flywheel ring gear under the action of the one-way clutch, completing the starting process. Now let's discuss the use and maintenance of the starter motor. The starter motor of a tractor is a key component for starting the tractor. During use, it is important to inspect and maintain it to ensure the proper operation and coordination of all components, thereby prolonging the starter motor's lifespan and enhancing its starting performance. Therefore, when using the tractor's starter motor, pay attention to the following points. 1. Ensure that the battery is always properly charged to ensure an adequate power supply for the starter motor. 2. Avoid prolonged starting, as this may cause the starter motor to overheat and even damage the circuit. 3. Regularly inspect and maintain the starter motor, including cleaning and securing connections to ensure its proper operation. 4. Regularly lubricate the lubrication points of the starter motor to reduce friction between components and extend their lifespan. The moving parts of the transmission mechanism and control devices also need regular lubrication to maintain their flexibility and reliability. The starter motor, as a crucial component of the tractor's starting system, directly affects the normal startup and operation of the tractor. By understanding the structure and working process of the starter motor in depth, we can better maintain and utilize the starter motor, ensuring the safe and reliable operation of the tractor. Additionally, when encountering starter-related issues, we can conduct targeted troubleshooting and repairs based on the symptoms. Finally, please consider the following questions. 1. What is the role of the starter motor? 2. What are the basic structures of the starter motor? 3. Briefly describe the working process of the starter motor. 4. What are the maintenance and upkeep practices for the starter motor? That concludes this lesson. Thank you, everyone.